If you think I'm lying about Hawkins City Council candidate Jackie Burns and the rest of those dumbasses wanting to hire Will Rogers as the fucking Hawkins City manager, just listen to this video of Will at what was supposed to be Jackie Burns' meet and greet that he did all the talking at, where he's lobbying for the fucking position openly and saying he didn't have enough power when he was mayor.
We have a lot of relatives in this town, Doc. Somebody's related to somebody. And you don't want to make so-and-so mad. And you don't want to get right up an employee because he's related to whoever over here, even though he's not doing a good job. And that's not the way things need to be ran in the city. I was an outsider. I didn't have any family relatives here, so it was easy for me to say, hey, you're not doing a good job. You had a drug problem at that time, and I'm sure you still do.
He had a drug problem.
I wanted to correct the drug problem. I wanted police officers on duty 24 hours a day. We pay enough taxes to have that. We're paying the money, we're not getting the services with what we're paying in these taxes. You need protection. Businesses will come if your town is clean and you're not on the news for murders. And since when I was in office, we had a murder-suicide, and we had a murder on Highway 14, and I think a girl was murdered just outside the city limits. But it's Hawkins. Anything to do with close to us, you're going to get labeled. It's in Hawkins. So then you had the officer-involved shooting, and then you had the recent murder out in the broad daylight that happened. And you've got to be scared about the timing. You've got to have police officers ready to respond when that happens. You don't want to be the guy shooting the out. You're all armed. At least I am. I'm sure you guys are as well. I'd rather have a licensed police officer having a gunfight with a crook than myself, especially when I'm paying this much in taxes. The city manager would take off the pressure from those that are on the council and those that are in the mayor's seat. There's a lot of friends going on here. I've heard this at the meetings. You can't be friends with the employees. They were having lunch with the employees when I was in there. You can do stuff after work, but you've got to be very careful of your friendships when you're talking about the taxpayers' money.
What the fuck is he talking about?
That's never been followed in this town. I can just tell you, it's
other than he just wants to be city manager.
Somebody related who's run the elections. Someone's run for mayor. There's always been some kind of relative connection. Cousins, aunts. So she's right about the city manager. Can you afford it? You can't afford not to. If you can't get good people to run for office that will study and manage the town, for one, the mayor doesn't have the power to hire and fire. He doesn't have the power to do that. He doesn't have the power to do that. So you're relying on the city council and the mayor working together to do that. Same way when it comes to discipline. I tried to discipline them when I saw things that were wrong. It went absolutely nowhere with the city council. So you're powerless as the mayor, but the city manager would take that off and look into what they're doing. Make sure that we don't have two supervisors. Why are we paying a bill for a supervisor when we have a supervisor? Why are you hiring a construction company to cut grass? All these questions need to be answered. How much money are you spending? What bids did you get for that job? Why do we need to refurbish our sewer plant for $2.2 million? Why don't you take that out of your budget? How much of these bonds are coming out of the water sewer budget? I think this year is $1,020,000, I think it is, something like that, $1,020,000. Why is it so different between our budget and Big Sandy's $600,000 or $660,000, whatever it is? The population is close. Why are we so much expensive than these other cities around us? Even if you take the larger cities, and you take off you add the numbers, or you deduct the numbers of water meters.
Boy, he is all over the board on you.
said about city managers, because we're having trouble with getting good candidates to run it that know how to do all these things. Look at it and not be partial to people. You can't be partial to people.
So how do you know it's on ballot?
So that fucking mentally deranged, wig-wearing fucking sociopath really thinks that we ran his dumb ass off as mayor, but he's somehow going to finagle his way into tricking us into creating a city manager spot for him where he has more power than what the mayor even has? You gotta be fucking shitting me.